At first, I would like to introduce Dr. Sui in brief. Sui is a Beijing high-level talent at BUCEA. He was a postdoctoral research assistant in the Department of Civil Engineering at the Catholic University of America. He was also a scheduler for many infrastructural projects at Washington, D.C. His research area includes, first, DC Water Capital Improvement Program, which focuses on constructing pumping, storage, transmission, and distribution systems. The second, Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, the simple name is WMATA, Tunnel Grouting Program. The third, Amtrak Tracks Track, American Tracks Track, 22 Rehabilitation at Washington Union Station Project. The fourth, Transform I-66 PPP project in Virginia, and so on. Now, he will give us a lecture named Challenges for Infrastructure Development Projects. Okay, let's welcome Dr. Sui.
Hi, hello everyone. Let's straight to the point. Today we will talk about challenges for infrastructure development projects. I will start with some problems exist in U.S. infrastructure development, and then covered with two case studies I worked with before. So from the AIC, American Society of Civil Engineering Infrastructure Report Card, it's like a GPA card for students in the university. That card for American infrastructure is C-. You can see there is a water main break every 2 minutes, growing wear and tear on our nation's roads, and there are 30,000 miles of inventory levies across the US. So it's pretty bad. And the investment on infrastructure is increasing, but the demand is also increasing. How to balance them? This is a chart for the billions of dollars investment in education, highway, streets, transportation, water and sewer equipment, and the missed investment. You can see it's always increasing. So there is a limited budget, but need to fulfill so many projects or demands. How to optimize? Here's a simple mini example, the knapsack problem. So you have a bag, for example, the capacity is 15 kilograms, and you have several items need to be put into this bag, and each item has its value and cost. So the goal is to determine the number of each item to include in a collection so that the total cost is less than more given cost. So the total cost or weight of those items should not more than the capacity of this bag. And the total value is large as possible. It's similar as the infrastructure development. You have limited budget, you have so many projects need to be developed, and how to build those within the budget, but maximize those values. So knapsack problem for infrastructure development. What is knapsack problem? Most frequently, decision makers have to select a subset of projects whose aggregated benefit scores are maximized. Constraints, usually a budget constraint, must be satisfied as well. This selection problem is a typical optimization problem, which is comparable to a backpack which has to be filled so that all items being packed represent an optimum portfolio returning a maximized aggregate benefit with the volume of the backpack as the constraint. In operations research, this combinational problem is known as the knapsack problem. For knapsack problem, there are many factors or variables. So first is a criterion. It's an indicator against which things, options, or alternatives can be compared. The performance of a criterion is expressed in a performance score, which can be an integer or floating value. Second is the weight. It is the criteria often assigned weights by decision makers because not all hold the same importance. And last is the decision option. It's an alternative solution among which a decision maker must choose. So all of those are the parameters we need to consider for a knapsack problem. I was a scheduler for those infrastructure development projects in DC area. For example, DC Water Capital Improvement Program, which focus on constructing pumping station, storage, transmission, and distribution systems. Another project I worked on is Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority Tunnel Grouting Program and the Amtrak's Track 22 rehabilitation at the Washington Union Station project. So I will introduce two of those. So DC water, drinking water system infrastructure. So DC Water has an obligation to provide safe and reliable drinking water to its customers while satisfying the needs of the environment in which it operates. Funding for DC Water comes through usage fees, United States Environmental Protection Agency grants, and the sale of revenue bonds. So the budget is from those sources, and the requirement is to provide a safe and reliable drinking water to its customers, while also satisfying the environment limitations. So this is a map for DC water infrastructures, includes pumping stations, storage, transmission pipelines. So normally the north part is the elevation is higher than the south part, and there's a Potomac River and a Castile River merged in DC area. So summary of DC water and pumping, storage, and linear facilities is summarized in those tables. It has from Reno pumping station and the Costia pumping station and so forth, and their capacities different. And the storage facilities, reservoirs, for example, tanks, and water mains, and so forth. So also the demand need to be projected, like current demographic projections show over 20% growth in DC Water's customer base in the next 25 years. Federal Safe Drinking Water Act and its amendments have resulted in stricter regulations on the quality of water DC water delivers. And because those regulations are becoming even more stringent, it is necessary to continuously monitor water quality. So those service area for DC water, and you can see the demand is increasing. Yeah, this is a projected profile. You can see it's going up, the demand. And the challenges. So the threat of terrorist activities, climate change, and emerging populations result additional, like more resilient features to be added to the system. And due to these factors, the water distribution system is in a constant state of flux between being able to maintain its current capabilities and needing investment to meet new challenges. So not only fulfill current demand of the infrastructure, should also consider resilient and fulfill capabilities in the future. Strategies. Establishing a clearly defined program based on sound principles and a targeted strategy to perform the most efficient improvements possible will maximize the return on DC Water's capital expenditure and allow DC Water to build for the future. To achieve this, it is necessary to identify the scope of potential challenges through planning studies and continuously refine the conceptual solutions through more detailed analysis. So like the knapsack problem I mentioned in previous slide, also there are detailed criteria for this water infrastructure development. Safe, so must meet current water quality drinking standards and regulations. And adequate, responsible for transferring water from Potomac River, treating it, conveying it to DC Water. That adequate water supplies can be provided to its customers, and reliable. So the infrastructure must be maintained in sound condition. And the investments like aim minimizing and responding to emergencies, constructing redundant infrastructure as required, proactively investing in system renewals. Economical, also like prioritizing and implementing cost-effective solutions to improve operational efficiency. Secure, also must continuously revisit need for investment, and so on. Environmentally, so many requirements like environmental areas requiring compliance, historical, because there are many historical buildings areas in DC, so also there are also requirements and archaeology like sensitive areas requiring commissions of fine arts approval, and also consider the consequences of failure. So must build some redundancy, and also energy efficient, like the holistically planned to minimize these eruptions. Also, DC Water need to collaborate with other government agencies like District Department of Transportation, underground utility companies, and so on. So for this map, you can see the yellow area belong to the DC Water. The green one belongs to Arlington County, not included in the DC Water infrastructure. So the water source of the district is the Potomac River, from which Washington Aqueduct operates intakes at Great Falls around this area. The schematic location and the configuration of that intakes, conduits, reservoirs, relationship to Falls Church, Arlington, actually in Virginia, and the treatment facilities. It's about At the time of the founding of the United States, once DC water is a diamond shape. It's about 100 square miles. But after the Civil War, Arlington became its own district county. So from this figure, it shows the general process of water treatment. So intakes on the Potomac River with screens, and 2 locations in Maryland. And prior to pre-sedimentation, raw water is delivered to Deocardia Reservoir, which straddled between DC and Maryland. At the Deocardia water treatment plant, the raw water goes through coagulation, here, and the sedimentation processes. After sedimentation, chlorine is added for disinfection here, and the pre-treated water is distributed to treatment plants, then pumped into the distribution system. Just to give you a general idea of the process. So the solution in DC water for its infrastructure development is the Water System Capital Improvement Program. It is a 10-year plan that identifies capital projects, equipment purchases, and provides a planning schedule for implementation. It's like in knapsack problem, select the different items and put those in the bag. It's similar concept. Because of varying demands on the water system and the evolving regulatory requirements, the water system is in a constant state of change. So that's the difference between the simple knapsack problem. Simple knapsack problem, the capability, capacity, and size and value, they are constant, they don't change. But in infrastructure development, those constraints, parameters, they are dynamically changing. That's the difference. The water system CIP links engineering and finance, providing a comprehensive and strategic plan with budgets and projected disbursements. So this figure shows the breakdown of funding over the previous 12 years. This figure was made by 2015, several years ago. And the projected spending for the next 4 years. The figure illustrates the focus of spending through the previous years. For example, the water program management funding has been consistent through the previous 12 years, and the schedule continues. Lead service replacement is a major capital program in period. Pumping ongoing water projects related to work on infrastructure relocation projects and are expected to remain constant through the foreseeable future. This orange band. And the pumping stations, reservoirs, water mains also very big investment. Okay. So you can see where the money goes to different projects. Also, DC Water took actions for evaluating water demands. So reviews water demand projections to provide a basis for evaluating future system needs. Also hypothesize there are several primary contributors to the trend in reduction in water demand. For example, water conservation, change in family sizes, reduction in non-revenue water, increased water rates, and climate change, and so on. So the DC water system has experienced a decrease in demands over the last 2 decades due to water conservation, a reduction in leakage in the distribution system, and the loss of some commercial and industrial accounts. More recently, the population with the district has begun increasing. The Potomac River Basin are forecasting population growth and new development, which will increase the water demands. So there will be more demands of water. Water quality also need to be considered. Those are the activity took for maintain the distribution system water quality. So this is a timeline for the X operates the chemical changes over the past 20 years. And there are also many rules for this water quality. For example, lead and copper rule, those total coliform rule also need to be bear in mind. And the pressure zone evaluations. So examine 8 pressure zones in DC water area, identify, assess critical to system operations and the possible needs for capital improvement. Those are the projects in the past and in the future for pressure zones and the budget. Also pumping stations. There's like, I'm introducing right now is like in the knapsack problem, different items, what are their size and their values. That's the goal for these parts. So DC water operates and maintains 4 stations, their capacities, and those are the evaluations. Do we need to upgrade them or maintain them? And how much money need for those pumping stations? So those are the projects related for those stations. And storage facilities. So those storage facilities provides adequate water pressure when pumping is shut down. So that's the function for them. And then in general, pumping stations raise the elevation of water to storage facilities, which then feed into the transmission and the distribution system. So there are 2 parts, existing facilities and new facilities. And DC Water approved budget to build new storage facilities, like those 3 projects. So storage facilities, their capacities, and past and future projects and budget for those facility projects. Also interconnections, like connect different government agency for water treatment in other places, and provide limited flows during emergencies, such as water main breaks. So those are the intersections between DC Water and other government agencies. and the budget. So this is summary for the transmission and the distribution system, like how long for those water mains in small diameter, large diameter, and how many valves, public fire hydrants, service connections. You can see a lot of things need to be done. Also in the future, what the projects and the budget related to those facilities. So yeah, that we know those variables and the values, how to, and next we need to do is optimize the knapsack. So establish criteria and evaluate performance measures like scores. So those scores are considered by DC Water, regulatory, health, risk, capacity, financial, supplement, pipe image, coordination. And this is the model we built for those criteria evaluation. So for those are the projects, and those are the scores we provide for those, and we can see which one is most important, and set constraints like budget for each category each year. So this is the budget for each category, like water main infrastructure replacement, public space restoration contract. So each year, how many proposed budget, current budget, increase or decrease, and some of them is the total budget. This is since I'm the scheduler, I use Primavera P6 to control all of those projects. So how is the budgeting used and the scheduling? You can see total is about $1.9 billion for DC Water to build newer and oh yes, I want to introduce a little bit more about the category of this. So we have the upper level is current CIP, and the right is for second level category like valve replacement, distribution, transmission, fire hydrant, water main, water pumping facilities, and so on. And then the blue colored different projects in different levels. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I knew update plan. That's the plan we made for like every year. What project we should build, and then make sure that within the budget. So those are the projects under different categories: what small main, fire hydrant, lead replace program, and so on, and the schedule and the budget. Yeah. Yes. So this, as I mentioned, is the budget each year for different categories, and then this is the criteria scores. So I think this column gives the sequence. Yeah, which project has the highest score, and that one should be considered most important. And this is the status worksheet. So for each activity is schedule and budget performance is increased or decreased, the shortage of the budget, and the annual update. So green one is the one with priority. That one should be built immediately because the score of those projects are high. And the yellow one are not that important, but if we have enough budget, we can build it. If not, we postpone them in the future. That's the concept. Yeah. And then we generate this report for DC Water to decide, see how the budget going, yeah, and they make decision which one they will work on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Another project is for tunnel grouting program. It's similar concept. It's also infrastructure development program. But it's for metro system. The Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority is one of the largest transit organizations in the United States. And the service area is approximately 1,500 square miles. It includes DC, Maryland, Virginia. Service about 4 million people. And there are underground areas where water infiltrates and accumulates during periods of rainfall. So there are leaks in the tunnel, and WMATA seek to identify a solution to rehabilitate, repair, and restore property experience water damage. So that's the goal for this project. So this is the metro system map. Some parts is underground, so there is a leakage issue. Yeah, the high priority repairs, the blue colored ones, like those segments, there are high priority repairs needed. Yeah, and the green one a medium priority, and the yellow for the low priority. So there's also existing tunnel leak locations from survey inspection. Also have a priority sequence. So those segments from for metro lines, they are high priority, which means the leakage issue is terrible, need to be fixed immediately. And the green one, the medium, and the yellow one, low. Yeah. So, and also difference with DC Water, the constraints for this tunneling project is different because the revenue hours, metro system, they have revenue hours, which the train service is open to passenger traffic, except these hours are extended for special events or disrupted due to emergencies. There are Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 23:30 p.m. and Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday different. So within this period, cannot do a lot of construction work. So the solution is WMATA makes weeknight early outs and weekend single track calendars for those construction works. For example, this a 10 p.m. early day, weekday early outs, between 22 p.m. Monday night till the 4:30 a.m. next day. This period we can do construction. Yeah. and also for weekends. Weekends is a single track. The single track is closed, so the train only use another track. And in scheduling software, I defined the calendar for that. So you can see this like jagged shaped bar Gantt chart. It recognizes which time slot or period can be used for construction. That's the concept. Yeah. So that's the new constraint difference with DC water thing. So the goal is to establish major outage or shutdown plan for up to 6 years to finish that internal grouting project. Also optimize capital programming shift for project readiness and having the right projects ready. Improve planning and development process, allow sufficient time for engineering and procurement, reduce velocity and provide more visibility in capital program, and ensure track access, minimize impacts to customers, and so on. Yeah. So that's the schedule I made, but this is just a concept. I made this schedule before COVID. So, but the thing totally changed according to COVID pandemic, the knapsack problem. The budget constraint it changed because less passenger took metro last year, so less income for WMATA. Also, more time slot can be used for construction because less passenger. Not only the two calendars I mentioned can be used. So it's an alternative solution among which a decision maker must choose. This also changed because of the constraints. Summary, what we have learned today. So challenges for infrastructure development projects. There is investment increasing, but the demand also going up. So for DC water, the solution is a capital improvement program, minimize total cost of owning and operating while delivering the service level customer desire. We also mentioned knapsack problem. So decision makers have to select a subset of projects whose aggregate benefit scores are maximized, while constraints, usually budget constraints, must be satisfied. Challenge for those knapsack problem in infrastructure is those criteria, ways, decision options are dynamically changing. It's not a constant thing. Yeah. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Su's lecture. So I think some students may be interested in some contents of this lecture. I think if you have any question, please put down your question on the QA board. And I think Dr. Sui will explain and answer the question. Dr. Su, have you noticed the tab? One question.
Oh, how actually do you incorporate GIS, remote sensing, and photogrammetry science to the DC Water CIP? Honestly speaking, there is another team working for that. I'm a scheduler, but those like techniques actually they did use in DC Water team for like the water quality I introduced in the slide. So they actually use remote sensing because you cannot go often go into the residence unit to check. So they actually put a sensor, I think, on outside of the building or unit and check the water quality. And the GIS technique, like I showed the map with different water storage, pipelines, tanks, reservoirs, facilities. I think those informations have been built with GIS model. Photogrammetry science. I think that's what I know. Yeah, I'm scheduler. I just use what information they provided. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Okay. Thanks again for your brilliant and well-prepared lecture, Dr. Sui, and look forward to more lecture and communications with our ISPRS students and BUC students. And I think, are you located in Beijing, Dr. Su? Okay, I think. Yeah,
I'm in Maryland right now. Yeah, but I will go back soon. Yeah.
Okay. I think after the new term, you can make more lecture and communicate with our with our students of BUCEA. Thanks again, Dr. Su.
Thank you.
Okay. Every students, I think after 1 hour, there will be the last lecture for today's schedule. Professor Michael from Auburn University will give a wonderful lecture. Okay, see you at 8 o'clock p.m. Beijing time. See you